So if you want to see how I made these crunchy little surprises with just a few things I had laying around in the cupboard, keep on watching. We got caught out by a public holiday and we couldn't get all the ingredients together for the dish we wanted to make from MasterChef. So we had to use what we had in the pantry. And this is what we got. Once a week, we get a vegetable box delivered. So most of this stuff is from this box, except for the sprouting shallots you see in front of us here. In this box, we had a lot of potatoes and I had some pulled pork that was lying around in the freezer. So I thought I'd make a pulled pork filled potato cake in an air fryer. Also in the box, there was quite a lot of tomatoes. So to go along with the potato cake, we're gonna make a tomato relish. So I've just boiled the potatoes and then I put in the strainer and I just let them steam off for about 5 minutes there, just so they evaporate any more moisture. So now I've just got my little ricer here, loaded up, and I'm gonna go through, push all these potatoes through the ricer. Try to get the potatoes in the ricer so it, strains it, not like I'm doing right now. Just little contraptions easy enough to use. So I've got all my potatoes riced up in here, and as you can see, I put a little bit of butter in there because, potatoes and butter, it's a match made in heaven. So I'll just go ahead and push that down a little bit. I'm hoping the residual heat in the potatoes is gonna be enough to melt that butter, but if it's not, we're gonna be working this a little bit, so it should fully incorporate nonetheless. So to this mixture, I just cracked an egg in here and I just beat it up super lightly and salt. Make sure it's well seasoned. I'll probably start with a spoon to get this all mixed in, and then I might switch over to my hand so I can feel the consistency. So I just gave it a quick mix with the spoon there. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of potato starch. I just gonna sprinkle about, what was that? Nearly a tablespoon in there? I'll sprinkle a little bit more. That was a tablespoon. So now I'm just gonna go with my hand. I'm just gonna get this all incorporated. I just grabbed a piece and I just went to form it into a patty-like shape, but I'm gonna add a little bit more starch, but because my hands are all junked up, my lovely camera lady here is gonna add another tablespoon in. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get that mixed up, then we'll check the consistency again. So I'm happy with the amount of starch I put in there, and I just gave it a little taste, and it needs a bit more salt. So I'm gonna go ahead and just open up the whole side of the salt container there so it comes out a little quicker. And so we'll go ahead and get that mixed in, and then we'll get on to forming these cakes. So to form these out, we're just gonna flatten them out into a little shape here. I should also mention that I've already formed them into 50-gram little balls here. And then once you flatten it out, you get a nice little pinch of your pulled pork. You're gonna bang that right in the middle, and you're gonna get another one. You're gonna also flatten it out, put it over the top, and you just wanna push around the edges a little bit. You can get your bench scraper, pick it up off the table, and form it into the rest of the patty here. Or you can just bunch the sides up, just like that. You don't have to worry about getting a full tight seal on this because it's not gonna be leaking out anywhere. And we'll be crumbing these after, so that'll also help to keep it all in there. All right, just like that. Now we'll go through, and we'll get the rest of them done. I've crammed my breading station onto this small table, and I'm gonna start breading. So I've just got some all-purpose flour. I got some eggs there with a little bit of water, beaten very well so it's not stringy. And I got some panko breadcrumbs, and also I put a little panko in my dish that I'm gonna be putting the breaded stuff in. So first things first, we'll get it coated in the flour, all over the place. We'll get it coated up, then it goes into the egg, like so. Make sure it's got egg all over the place, drip off any excess. And then how I always like to do that, you get a handful of your crumb, place it down, and you can't really push this crumb into the potato because it's the potato is still quite soft. So I'm just gonna have to do this quite gently, and we'll just sprinkle the panko all over. So with this one, I feel like I'm gonna have to do a double coat because I can't push the crumb in. So we'll just lightly back and forth into the egg, off again, and back into the crumb for a second coat. Once you get it all double crumbed up like that, just back and forth to get any extra off, and into the pan. And we'll go on and get the rest of them coated up, then we'll come back. Okay, once you've got them all coated, we'll set these aside while we make the relish. Okay, to make the relish, it's pretty simple. Got a whole bunch of shallots I've thinly sliced up. Then we'll also bung in some garlic. To the tomatoes, I boiled them and then peeled them. So in goes that. And then to that, we'll add 1.5 tablespoons of sugar, brown sugar that is. Then we got some allspice here. We'll add about, what's that, 1/4 tablespoon. In that goes. Got some ginger powder. Same with that, 1/4 teaspoon. Then we'll go in with some salt. We'll go in with we'll start with 1/2 tablespoon. We can always add a little bit more later. And we got some fresh cracked pepper here going in. In it goes. And then we got some of Uncle Hunsy's pickled chilies. This one's a bit on the spicier side, so we'll go on with about a teaspoon of that. And then, so we've got some vinegar here. So we'll go on with, I'm thinking around 3 tablespoons to start with. So, We'll get that slightly mixed up. So I don't have to bring you over to the stove. Once you've got all the ingredients in the pot like that, you just give it a little stir around. And then we're going to stick it on the stove on about a medium heat for about 10 to 15 minutes until it thickens up and looking all nice and stewed. Make sure you stir it every now and again because otherwise it might stick. So we'll come back in about 10 or 15 minutes when this is ready. So I've had my relish cooking away for 10 minutes there. Now I've just taken it off, and for my liking, I'm just going to use my little stick blender here just to blend it up a little bit because it's a little bit more chunkier than I would like. So I'm just going to go ahead and give it a light blend. So as you can see, not too much, just a little bit of a blitz there. I have to give it a little taste. It needs a little something. So I'm going to put about a half a tablespoon of fish sauce in, just to give it that bump up a little bit of umami in it. And I'm also going to put a little bit more vinegar. So another tablespoon of that goes in. Also put a little more of a sprinkle of the ginger powder. Not too much, just a little sprinkle. And I'm also going to put a little squirt of tomato paste in, about a tablespoon. So we'll get all that mixed in. Then we'll give it a taste, and we might need to just cook it out for another 5 minutes or so to get that raw edge of the tomato paste. But we'll see once we get it all mixed in. The residual heat might be enough to achieve this. So I've just mixed all those in, given it a taste, and we don't need to cook this anymore. I'm happy with the consistency. At the moment it is a little on the fluid side, but it will tighten up a bit once it cools down. We're going to set this aside and get on air frying the potato cakes. I've already got my air fryer preheated, and I'm going to load in some of the cakes here, just like so. Look what I also found at the shop. Oh, this tree's got spray oil. Amazing. So, little squirt, we'll bang it in. The air fryer's preheated to 200 degrees. So now we'll push play, and 6 minutes, and then we'll give them a flip. Okay, my air fryer's dinging at me, which means it's time to flip. Ooh, they got a nice little bit of color on them already. So, go ahead and flip them over, nice and gently. They're still a little bit on the soft side. We'll give them another little spritz of oil. Back in, another 6 minutes. So my air fryer just dinged at me again, and they're ready. So I've got a little board here with a rack on top, so we'll just go ahead and grab them out, and we'll close that up. And as soon as they come out, we'll get a little bit of finishing salt, bung them over the top, and we just got to let them cool down for a minute, and then we'll be ready to tuck in. Okay, so that was a good idea when we're taking photos, but it's time to get that thing out of here and go in for a bite. Oh yeah. That's still hot. If I make this recipe again, I would actually put a little bit of cheese somewhere in here, just to make it a little more, gooier. But this little relish number on the side here, that's just good stuff. Makes everything pop. Hey, damn tasty.